Welcome to 10 Dimensions of Wellness. I am your host, Chef Kaye, and today's guest, I am so excited. It's Miss Kaye, and that's Kaye Henry of Therapy Uncensored, Black Therapy Uncensored. Did I say it right?
Yes,
Black
you said it correct.
Yes, right. Black Therapy Uncensored. So those are key there. So get that right. So Miss Kaye is going to tell us a little bit about what it is that they do over at Black Therapy Uncensored, and then we're going to go from there.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on your show. Like, I'm so excited because I just love talking to people like me, and I don't have to do so much of the explaining because you kind of get it. So the vernacular, I don't got to be proper. But anyway, I'm Kaye Henry. I'm a New York State licensed mental health counselor. So I've been doing therapy for 15 years. And my private practice is Positive Minds, Mental Health Counseling, Psychotherapy. My podcast is Black Therapy Uncensored, so they kind of tie into one another, but they have their separate entities as well. So the podcast focuses on mental health as a Black woman for the Black community, because we know how mental health is in the Black community. We don't really talk about it, or if we do talk about it, we don't have the resources or someone like us to help us. Especially with mental health, we're getting help from other people who don't understand us, who don't understand and use the DSM-5 against us, when half the time what's in the DSM-5 don't really apply to us 100%. So I'm here to break the stigma, to help people live healthier lifestyles, and my hashtag is prescription of positivity. So when you leave my office or leave a session with me, even a conversation, you should feel more positive than when you came into that space. So
I love that.
I love it. And I love helping people. I love talking to people. I like to say I'm really not a people person, but I like my job. I am, to a certain extent, a people person. I'm not for small talk. Let's clarify. I'm not a small talk person. So if there's no purpose to your conversation,
there's no purpose in the conversation.
I'm not doing it with you.
Yeah.
But if there's purpose and meaning to it, then I'll engage in the conversation. So that's a little bit about me. Yes, and I work with everyone in the Black community.
Yeah.
I don't say, when I say everyone, men, women,
kids, seniors,
veterans, transgender, queers, bisexual, whatever. Everybody that falls underneath the realm of Black.
So let's touch on something you spoke about earlier, something that we both know is really true in the African-American community, the Black community. That is the stigma against therapy. Mm-hmm. It's so funny that you said that in your spiel, because that was my first question for you.
I'm also a psychic, but
that was my first question. I was like, let's talk about this. Let's break this down. Let's get over these fears that people have with therapy. So give me some of the things that you see when some of the aversions people have to going to therapy.
Well, first of all, when people come into therapy, they're not expecting to see someone like me. So
of course not.
See someone like me helping them, they already have the side eye. So then they think the term coon, they don't think I'm that. They think I'm like a high sedity Black person until I open my mouth and they're like, oh snap. Wow, you from the streets. You me.
You me.
They be like, okay. So then the guard comes down. So the thing with, I think it's hard for us to find somebody that's like us in therapy. So that's our first hesitation. It's just I'm going to go there. I'm going to deal with someone who doesn't understand where I came from. And not all Black people come from the hood. I grew up in the hood. But I would have the better part of the hood, because there's hood, and there's hood, and then there's the suburbs. I never grew up in the suburbs. But I didn't grow up smack dab in the middle of the hood, but I still have the hood essence. Where you on
the outskirts.
Outskirts.
You was in between the suburbs and the hood.
Blocks away from the real hood. So you understand what I'm saying? So I can identify with people because I always keep myself in that community. I'm always gonna keep humbling myself. I'm never gonna be above anyone. So I think most Black people going into therapy is just this person's gonna judge me based on where I come from, how I talk and how I look. Anytime we go someplace, what have we been taught? Make sure you look presentable.
Make sure you act a certain way. Make sure you talk a certain way.
Exactly.
Make sure you dress a certain way.
So we're already coming in with that baggage. And if you don't have someone that looks like you helping you, not only that looks like you helping you, but understands you, you already have your guard up. It's like, what is this person going to say or do that's going to like actually help me put my guard down? So I'm always, the first couple of sessions, we're really not doing therapy. It's me helping to build a trust between me and my client. Like, I can't get any work done if there is no trust. I'm not going to help you with your bipolar. I'm not going to help you with your depression, your anxiety. You're not going to open up if you feel like some part of you can't identify with me.
So how do we get African Americans to start trusting the therapy process more? Like you said, we already come in mistrusting or distrusting the system, not wanting to open up, already looking like we're going to be judged. Even nowadays, knowing that there are people that look like us and come from the same community as us, we come in feeling already like this ain't where we want to be, even though this is where we need to be.
Right. How can I help? How can Black people, our people, come into therapy without that guard up? Understand that therapy is a process. So it's going to take a while. And I'm not saying like 2-3 sessions. It might take you 90 days. It could take you 6 months to figure out, you know what, this therapist isn't working for me. It's not that therapy doesn't work for me. This therapist doesn't work for me. It's like anything. If you go to your general physician and they diagnose you with something, most of the time we go and get a second opinion if it doesn't feel right or sound right to us. So I don't understand why we can't do that with therapists. You can shop around. I tell my clients all the time, if you feel like I'm not the right therapist for you, because I'm not for everybody. My style is not for everybody. I don't take offense to that. I say, go and find who you need. That's not offensive to me if you feel like you got to leave me to go to somebody else. I was a stepping stone in getting you to where you need to be. I'm just happy that you started therapy.
See, you know what you said makes perfect sense. But the problem that I see with that is that when people walk out your door, are they really going to take that step to go to see and find someone that fits? Which means that you just reverted back to where you were before you even began therapy.
Right. Exactly.
So we have to build trust in the system of therapy before we even go into looking for a therapist, so to speak.
Right.
Like you got to know, and it's almost like an addiction. Like they say with addicts don't change until they want change.
Right.
You have to know in your heart that you need and want therapy, even if you go in the door and you and your therapist don't click at all.
Right.
You still have to have the courage and be able to take the steps to say, okay, you know what? We didn't click. Let me find somebody else in this realm, or someone who has these beliefs. Or, if it's a religious thing, most people usually try to go to their church and ask their church for a reference. Because, most churches nowadays keep therapists on file for their for their parishioners. Right. So we have to us as Black people, we have to find a way in our head. I don't know if this is driven in our heads or where this came from, that therapy is not for us. We actually need it more than anybody.
Right. I think part of that comes from the whole, it's a traumatic experience we've been throughout life. They like to start history at the point of slavery. That's not where our history starts.
That's not where our history starts.
Our history starts back in Africa as kings and queens and princes and princesses with diamonds and gold and living lavishly. And even if you weren't living lavishly, you still had decent amount of land. You was living among nature.
You wasn't a slave.
Right, you wasn't a slave. You was free to make your own decisions. So what we first need to do, that generational trauma, if I open my mouth, this is going to lead to me being captured, to me being beaten, my wife being raped, or I know we don't have that conscious thought because now that's not like literally happening.
It's so amazing that you said that, because if we open our mouths now, it leads to losing our jobs.
Yes.
It leads to losing our lives.
Yes. Right.
It leads to losing our sense of community. It's still the same traumatic experience.
Right.
Like if you retaliate, if you say something, or if you stand up for yourself, what is the price that you're going to pay? Oh my God, we literally just saw this happen with Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, what is the price you're going to pay for standing up for yourself and speaking out against injustices, even if it's not on a global level, but just on a personal level?
Exactly. So if one person opens up their mouth, you destroy the whole family. Even if something bad is going on in that unit, you're destroying the family. And we hear that a lot in abuse and molestation.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going with that.
Community, we don't want to talk about it.
We leave the house, say what happens in this house stays in this house. You don't go outside this.
Because we're all walking around with trauma, and we carry it on to our kids and to their kids, and the cycle's not
generational trauma, like you said. Yeah.
We got it's
passed down.
The first step is to really do your research. Know what you're going into therapy. When you start therapy, just don't go in there blindside, just like with anything. Before you go to see your general physician, we usually Google our symptoms, right?
Nowadays,
you can Google your mental health symptoms, saying overwhelming sadness. And I use the basic, I don't want to say basic, but I use the general, the most common DSM diagnoses, because people understand and connect to that better. I can't go into other stuff because people be like, oh, she's talking very scientific, and I lose everybody. So I gotta keep it Google, because I'm a science nerd, and then people okay.
Girl, use them big words. Show them what their degree got.
I know, show my degree. I'm gonna show
your degree. Don't dumb yourself down for nobody.
I know. If someone's having auditory hallucinations or they're seeing things, you Google that, because that's not normal. You know what your normal baseline is. That's why it's also important to have your physicals, your yearly physicals. My Black women and my Black men, because they be like, I'm not going to the doctor, and stuff be going on. But anyway,
well, the crazy part about that is I stress having a yearly physical because I was diagnosed with breast cancer under 40. Wow. And one of the things in doing my research once I got my diagnosis was that I found that African American women who have breast cancer under the age of 40 tend to die from it. Wow. So to see that sort of frightened me. But then I realized once you do a little bit more research, you figure out why it is that they pass or succumb. It's because they aren't going to the doctor regularly enough. They don't catch it in time. They don't have health insurance. So it's those things that we have to actually start to pay attention to. I'm a nutritionist, so I'm really big on people telling them to pay attention to your body, what signs your body send to you. I deal with emotional eating. That's why I actually understand some of the stuff that you're saying, because being a nutritionist is like being a therapist as well.
Yeah, it is.
People have started to feed their problems. Mm-hmm. So now you're experiencing things like obesity and other diseases that come from obesity, high blood pressure, anxiety. I've actually had to write diets for people with anxiety, put them on eating schedule, because most people don't realize the correlation between your brain and your gut health. Yes, you don't get that.
The mind and body go together.
It's one all one. The other one is not. Yeah. Like if you eat and junk all the time, you're only feeding the anxiety in your body. That's all you're doing. Exactly. So if you're having panic attacks, it's probably because of what you eating.
Right.
Yeah.
It's them daily bag of chips and soda you have.
It's that McDonald's.
And then you down here, you're doing a yo-yo effect, but you So study your symptoms. It's not normal to be hearing voices. That's not normal. No. It's not. So if that's happening, Google the symptoms, then make an appointment. You can always start with your general physician. It always starts with them. And they can always make a referral for you. And you can always put in a request. As Black people say, I would prefer to have a Black
doctor. Yeah.
No one's saying if they're offended by it, then you might want to reconsider the general physician that you got.
I was getting ready to say,
to help you,
most likely, yeah, your general physician should understand. If you're saying, I would prefer to have a black doctor, look at the color of my skin.
Right, exactly.
I can't open up to somebody who don't understand what this right here means.
Exactly. So just like when we have a cold, we Google those symptoms. We have to Google the symptoms when we're feeling overwhelmed.
Hallucinate. If you're seeing things, seeing spots, seeing dots, seeing people, anything like that, you should definitely Google those. And
if you realize that you're angry more than often than normal, that's not normal. If you're irritable, a clear sign of depression, that everyone thinks that everyone that's depressed is always sad. And that is not true. A lot of people who are depressed are angry and irritable. Irritable is actually the key word for that. A lot of them don't experience overwhelmed sadness. They're irritable. And so when you don't pay attention to that, you're just thinking, man, I'm just angry and I don't like nobody. Nah, you might be depressed.
Yeah, you might be depressed, which is let's talk about that. Actually, that you brought that up. You brought up some key symptoms there. What are some symptoms of depression and anxiety? Because right now, you got a lot of people stuck in their homes. Their anxiety levels are going up. It's a lot of craziness going on. And we haven't quite talked about the suicide rate publicly right now because we're still focused on the quote unquote pandemic, COVID-19 deaths. Right. So we haven't talked about the mental wellness effect that this has had on people. A lot of people, and I can say this, yes, there was an air of disappointment. Yes, there was an air of hurt. Yes, there was an air of anger when the incident with George Floyd happened. But what I tried to point out to people as well is this was also cabin fever.
Right.
Like, people had been stuck in their homes, like literally stuck in their homes. For 3 months, they could not go anywhere but to home and to the grocery store. That's it. So when you see all of this rioting and looting and all of this activity in the streets, it's not necessarily because, yes, we're upset. And I know quite a few of us were vehemently just very upset about this.
Right.
But for the vast majority of the people out and doing this was just a way to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So what symptoms should we be looking for when it comes to dealing with those, not even just us, but those around us as well? When you feel like depression or anxiety, which are some of the common things that happen, because we do talk about schizophrenia and we do talk about bipolar disorder, but I hate to say this and generalize everybody, but everybody has a touch of depression and anxiety at some point in their lives.
Right. So to focus us on those two, depression and anxiety. So you can have symptoms of depression but not have depression. You can have symptoms of anxiety and not have anxiety. I need people to understand that, because people think like, I'm feeling anxious. I've been feeling anxious for a couple of weeks. You may not necessarily have anxiety.
You might just need to change your diet.
Right, exactly. Or you need to identify what the stressor is that's happening.
What's triggering your
if you just got a project at work, someone that works in marketing, we know that that's a high stress level job, marketing, advertising, finance. So there's going to be moments where you're on like a 3 to 6 month project. You're probably going to experience symptoms of anxiety. Doesn't necessarily mean you have anxiety. Doesn't necessarily mean you have depression. It has to go on. There's criteria in the DSM, you and I both know, that you have to follow to a T in order to be diagnosed with depression and anxiety. So some clear symptoms of depression, if they're ongoing. Depression, I think you have to have it for the symptoms have to be ongoing for 12 weeks, brings us to what, 3 months? So it's
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Same thing kind of with anxiety.
3 to 6 months.
Right. So something
ongoing.
like that. Yeah, ongoing, but there's other criteria. So depression, the common one everyone knows is overwhelming sadness, right? We all know that if someone's overwhelmingly sad, okay? And there's different levels of depression and anxiety. There's mild, moderate, and severe.
It's severe, yep.
Mild, moderate, and severe anxiety. It could be recurrent or it could be a one-shot deal. I could continue to break it down, but then we got to get a whole nother thing. So there's overwhelming, no, because I was about to give a whole webinar on the
But the crazy part about it is I'm a nerd and you're a nerd, so I would have been okay with it. I wouldn't even stop you.
You had better eyelash, but I told myself because your listeners would have been like, "Yo, but where's she going with this? Are we gonna see EU credits for this?" But like,
me and you just sitting up here just talking like,
right,
oh, okay,
right?
yeah.
Depression, anxiety, they would all be like, "Okay." But back on track, because we could just go off topic.
Go ahead.
So we have overwhelming sadness for depression. The irritability is another key one people need to pay attention to, because like I said, not everyone shows the sadness, but a lot of people do show the irritability. I want to say, especially with maybe men, you're going to see the irritability more. Not to say that women can't be irritable. It's just that we
mask that. Yeah, right? We mask that.
Right?
We mask that.
Irritability is a key one. Now someone could just be an irritable person and not be depressed. So that's how you need to. I don't want people out here to diagnosing themselves with depression. Yeah, I'm irritable all the time. See, I'm depressed.
Hold on, wait. They're not gonna diagnose themselves. They're gonna diagnose their family members. You know, you become the doctor to the family. You be like, oh no, you got depression. I heard this on this podcast. And she said, yeah.
You irritable all the time. Your ass is depressed. I knew it. No, they probably deserve. What they are.
Just personality trait, okay?
But depression is, so if it's like the severe kinds, and those are the people that can't get out of bed and they can't function. Yeah. If it's mild, those are the ones that can function from day to day. So you'll see them at work and they probably not on medication, but they have moments where it's really bad for them. And then the moderate is in the middle, they might have their moments where they can't get out of bed and they have to be on medication. And, they have their mild moments where, the symptoms aren't as
bad. Yeah.
Now, anxiety is, another, mood disorder that affects you where people with anxiety they have to be in control. And the moment they're not in control, and this is not for controlling people. So again, let me explain the difference. Another different personality trait. I just need people to know there's controlling people that are not anxious, and there's people that are anxious they have to be in control, but it's in control of themselves, not other people. Yeah. So that is the difference. Controlling people in general have to be in control of everybody, including themselves. So with anxiety, the thing is they don't know what's coming next, and that's usually the fear. It's a fear that stops them from functioning. Yes. So how I explain anxiety is how I help my clients is I tell them, so what's the worst that can happen? Let's map out what's the worst that can happen. If we put this plan in place, what's the worst that can happen? And they usually go through it. Now, did that really sound as bad as you're making it in your head? The person with anxiety is always in their head. Yeah. It's always the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. That's going to happen. It's like, if I go to school every day, or if I go to work every day, then my boss is going to be on my case. And I can't take my boss being on my case every day. So I'm just not going to go to work. I'm like, but that's going to make the situation worse. Worse, because now you're not going to have a job. Your boss is going to be on your case rather than if you were at work. So it's all about changing their core beliefs. So they have a core belief in their head of, everyone doesn't like me. It's an all or nothing with them. So everyone doesn't like me. Or, they're not my friend because they're always mad at me. So all or nothing clause with them. So the way to break down the anxiety is to get in their thoughts, work with their thoughts, start changing all the negatives to positives. But it's a slow thing to do. With someone with anxiety, it's frustrating for a therapist because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But they can't. Yeah. If they're not in the change model, we have the trans-theoretical change model of change, where it's pre-contemplation, contemplation, I might be saying this all wrong. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, relapse. If they're not in the preparation action stage and they're still in pre-contemplation, which is they're not aware that there's an issue, then there's no change going to happen at all. So it's a whole awareness that you have to have. Anyone that comes into therapy, you have to get them to a point to be aware that there is an issue. Then you have to get them to the point to prepare to change. Then you have to get them to the action stage, which is changing. For some people, that happens very quickly. Other people, they'll be in therapy for 3 years before some change actually really occurs.
And let me ask you this. We talked about the two commons, anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
But because most of the time when we go to therapy, we aren't seeking therapists that look like us. Mm-hmm. Do you think there has been an over diagnosis of these type of conditions within our community just because they're speaking to someone who doesn't really understand where they're coming from?
Yes. And I will say this because people don't understand it's a cultural aspect to who we are that affects our mental health. So it's not just depression. Depression could be due to the neighborhood you're living in and the societal demands that we have on us and the systemic oppression that we go through on a daily basis. And I mean, not everyone in the Black community comes from a single parent household, but if that's
right,
you understand what I'm saying? Like there's so many factors that go into our culture that if the therapist is not aware of it or takes note of it in the beginning, then they're not helping their client at all. I take into consideration the client that you're working with, know their culture.
Okay. So that's why I asked about, especially within the Black community, within our community, this stigma with therapy. Is it really a stigma with therapy, or is it a fear of being misdiagnosed or diagnosed with something that is not really what we are or who we are? And then you get put on all of these medications that make you feel out of sorts. And perhaps these aren't things that you should even be on.
Right. I think it's a combination of things. I think there is a stigma. We're really not aware of it. Unless you come from a family that's open and talks about their feelings and going to therapy and trusting another person to help with your problems, then it starts from there and then it travels outside. It also comes from, I just lost my whole train of thought just now. I was on a tangent and then I went somewhere else. It also, stems from being judged.
Right.
We have a fear, and I know I do, so of being judged. If I say this, now this person's looking at me, the poor Black person.
Yep.
All these problems, even though I may be dressed nicely, or even if we're not dressed nicely, because that shouldn't be a basis for someone to be like, oh, she's a good.
The crazy part about it is we judge and we say things about people who are not financially well off, purchasing clothes and shoes and stuff, but we don't realize how that has been a generational trait that we have instilled in our own heads, that regardless of what your income class is, you should look a certain way so that you are not judged for certain aspects of your life.
Right. I think for a lot of Black people, and I'll come from my personal experience, is we have a persona of our head and we don't want people to get in there, and now it kind of breaks
it down.
Who we are. Now we're being judged.
Yeah.
It's bad enough that we come out the house every day, we're judged for the color of skin, we're judged for our vernacular, we're judged for our hair, we're judged for, our nose and our lips and just everything. Now you're gonna be judged for your thoughts. Like, nah, son. Nah, I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Yep, and that's what you just said is exactly everybody's mindset. I'm not gonna say everybody. The Black woman would probably be a little bit more easy to talk to because we talk to each other. We talk in our circles. We talk in our tribes. We talk to each other. But Black men, breaking into that thought process, breaking into just having them get their feelings out is a tough feat on its own. Working from your standpoint of being a therapist, working with African American men, how hard is it for you to even get over that hurdle of being able to have them open up to you so that you can actually start the process of healing?
Honestly, for me, and maybe it's the kind of therapist I am, so I'll toot my own horn, I don't have an issue with Black men. The Black men, I don't have it. They actually find they're more open. I find that the women are a little bit more guarded. And I understand that because I myself am guarded around other women. And I only say that so I've had instances where Black women have come into clinic, my office, and their guard has been up. Because they're sizing you up and down, like, yo, who is she? Where's she from? What's she about? she kind of looked like me, but I don't know. I've been dealing with this other one who doesn't represent me, so my guard is already up from that. So once I start speaking and they realize my vernacular matches theirs, then they're like, oh snap, the wall can come down. Like, you one of my girlfriends. Because when people see me, honestly, I'm not like dressed up right now. But when people see me dressed up, they think like I'm like some high sedity bougie black girl. That's like,
but don't we think that of each other?
Do that.
Yeah.
Right, I do too. I'm not fault. But they look at me, but it's until I talk, and I'm just like, yo, so sis, what about
yeah.
this? And they're like, oh snap!
Yeah. I'm like, I'm just thinking to myself, I know I have gotten that as well. Like, you come into a room, but that's because of our perception of what we are supposed to do.
But we have to code switch.
Yeah.
And the code switch, when they realize they don't have to code switch anymore, especially black women, the guard comes down just like this.
Like that, yeah.
They're willing to work with you. You know how many fires I've had to put out in my office, like, because other people don't know how to talk to that person. And I've had to like literally like, listen, you can't talk to her like that. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to say. And then I just start relating to the person on the level they're at. And they were just like, well, how'd you do that? I talk to people like they're human beings.
I don't think I'm better than anybody.
And I mean, if I saw her on the street, I would talk to her the same way.
Yeah, and see, that's the difference. A lot of times the therapists that we do have to deal with, they wouldn't deal with us normally on the street. They're not the people. Yeah, they're not the ones they're the ones as if they see you on the street, they're going to actually walk to the other side of the street or, walk a little bit faster.
Exactly. So
not even give you eye contact, that type of situation.
We just have to understand the people we're working with and do the research on them and realize you could have 5 clients with depression. You cannot treat all 5 the same way. How I talk to, Susan, I can't talk to Keisha that way. You know what I'm saying? And Susan could be a black woman. I'm just throwing out randomly. Okay.
Right.
I know some black Susan, so stop.
I do too.
The way I talk to like Ruth, I don't talk to like,
right.
that other person. I don't treat them.
Barbara, you don't talk to Barbara and Ruth.
Barbara, I don't talk to Shirley the same way I'm talking to Barbara. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not. Some people get the vernacular, others are like, no, I'm too pish posh, like I can't. Okay, so then I gotta no, you're not that black woman that I can do that with. But then eventually it comes down. So I'm like, guess you are that black woman, you just staying.
You weren't ready to be.
You wasn't ready. Because we're building that relationship. It's all about rapport. You have to build rapport.
One of the things that, you learn in leadership training is dealing with people's mask that they wear, the different types of masks that people put on, how to approach those type of people and how to deal with them, how to actually break through those masks to see who they really are.
Exactly.
One of the things that we as Black people do, just walking out the house, we put on a mask just in general. And that's just required of us. We have to walk a certain way. We have to talk a certain way. We have to look a certain way. We have to act a certain way to be accepted, and not just accepted amongst normal society, but to also be accepted and respected amongst your own.
Exactly. Well, listen, my mom has always told me, but make sure you have to outside the house in your good drawers, because if you collapse on the street, I'm like, Mom, I'm not in control of me collapsing on the street.
But what if you collapse in the house?
But I gotta be worried about people judging me when I'm passed out and judging my drawers. Like,
I gotta wake up and say, "Oh Lord, did I put on the holy underwear today?"
Like, so that's been like embedded. So like, even for the time you go, even down to like wearing sweatpants, you're like, let me just make sure my sweatpants and the sneakers match it with like the shirt, so I don't be looking crazy going out this house.
In case I pass out in the grocery store and they gotta transport me by ambulance where they gonna cut off all of this.
This is what we as Black people gotta deal with. Like, it starts in the house. Like, we going through all of this.
Like, if you pass out in public, the clothes that you was wearing when you passed out 9 times out of 10 are not going to be, you're not even going to be able to wear them when you walk out the hospital.
I know our own people would judge us, be like, yo, you passed out in the street, you had on your holy ass drawers. But the EMS ain't going to care They not gonna care.
They just gonna take them scissors and go straight through them. They don't care.
I would actually like to be in the busted ones, because if you mess up the good ones, I'm gonna be pissed.
I'm be mad.
Like, yo, son, you couldn't.
Do you know how much those underwear cost?
You couldn't lift up a leg and just take it off properly, like.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah, no,
so
yeah.
All right, so let me ask you,
yes.
and I very rarely talk about politics, but I'm going to talk about this in a way that it actually refers to mental wellness.
Yes, okay.
And I'm not going to mention the name, but however, the message of division that is being spread right now, what do you think that is playing? Now, I mentioned earlier, we were talking about cabin fever, and we were talking about, the pandemic and the people being sick and the whole mindset of that.
Yes,
but now it's almost like a threefold that we got going on here. Like, we got so much coming at us in so many different directions.
Yep.
And again, we haven't really publicly announced the suicide rate. We haven't announced the murder suicide rates.
Oh.
We haven't announced the domestic violence rates that have all risen.
Child abuse rates.
The child abuse rates. None of those things have been announced publicly. None of those things have been discussed in the news. You get a few of them, the ones that are fatal. Those are the ones that come across. But I think about, there was this story that I read that it's so funny that you said child abuse. This little boy living with his grandmother and his uncle. I don't know where his mom was. I think she was deceased or whatnot. Oh. They had him locked up and tied up in a barn in the backyard from the day they got out of school until the day he died. So for probably about 3 months, he slept outside.
Wow.
So we haven't publicly discussed all of those type of situations, because what we're not paying attention to is during this pandemic, you had abused people who were locked down with their abusers. You had children who were locked down with their sexual abusers and their physical and mental abusers. These are people that live in the home with them. So these are things that we have not discussed publicly, but the cherry on top is our leadership. Mm-hmm. And the message of division that is being spread right now. How do you think this is technically impacting the African American community?
Listen, we have somebody leading this country who I honestly feel has a mental health illness that he's either A, been diagnosed and we just don't know, or B, he's not diagnosed and we don't know. Either way.
I think he's diagnosed and I think we don't know that he's diagnosed.
So that's where I'm going with it. I'm not going to tell y'all what my diagnosis is.
Yeah, I think several therapists have actually said out loud.
No, I've been walking around telling people what I know that this man has. And he should not be running the country.
No, he should not.
He's unstable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that someone with mental illness can't run the country. You can run the country if you're taking care of your mental health.
I was going to say, if you're taking care of your mental health and if you're also taking the advice of your counsel.
Exactly, which he's not doing. How's this impacting Black America? We have been forgotten. I mean, it's not like people was really checking for us, but we've really been forgotten. We've been left to the wolves. We might as well be like the people in ICE that are, in the cages and stuff. Because I feel like if we could be put back in shackles, they would have done put us back in shackles. So Black America, we're suffering greatly. I mean, we got the everything is coming back up again. History's repeating itself, and history should not be repeating itself.
On July 4th, I posted something on my Facebook page. It said, from 1620 to 2020, we are still fighting for the same rights. And we celebrated Juneteenth this year as a nation for the first time.
Right.
Do you understand for the first time?
I know. And there's a lot of Black people who didn't know that about Juneteenth. So that was...
Yeah. And then I don't think people understood behind why there were people saying don't celebrate the 4th of July. I do get that these are holidays that have been ingrained into us. They have been almost like, you know, they don't really mean the thing that they should mean. Like the 4th of July is for the independence of the United States, but who really cares at this point?
It's for certain people in the United States, and it ain't for us.
It's not for us. So I think we have in turn turned this into a day of something else for us, a celebratory gathering with your family type of thing. But we still have to understand that that day is not for us. That day was never for us. That day actually was, is a day that actually could be marked as a day that started the demise of us.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I agree. I mean, I feel like with all that's going on, the political stuff, it's making this generation realize all the stuff that everybody before them fought for, and that not much has changed.
Yeah. And
now it's really up to them, because I am not even lumping myself in the category of the millennials, because I'm about to be 40 in some time.
Okay, so technically, I just found out.
Don't blow my bubble now.
Yeah, I'm about to blow your bubble because I just turned 40 this year. Okay, so I just found out that we are considered millennials.
No,
okay?
I ain't claiming that.
Hold on, wait, look. This is the crazy part. I looked at the list and I said, wait a minute. So you telling me this whole time I've been talking about millennials? And they think I'm one of them.
No, but we're really not millennials. We're generation, what is it, Z?
Z, yeah. And that's what I thought I was. I thought I was a generation
Z. We keep going with that information.
Yeah.
I ain't claiming millennial.
I was like, because I don't think I have that mindset of a millennial. So,
but I would say for Black people, I feel like history somehow skipped a generation where there's like uninformed Black people.
That is okay. So what has happened, and this is something that we it's something that happens with each generation. We lose a sense of that point. It's almost like we were shielded from a certain part, so we lost that part. Like what we do with our kids. We don't want our kids to see. We didn't want our kids to see how we were being treated. So we shielded them from that. And then when they got old enough to see how we were being treated, they are now looking at us like, oh my God, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you step up? Why didn't you, like you just went along with this?
Exactly. But what I think happened to ignite what's happening in Black America, Black culture, is the killing of George Floyd. Just witnessing that, I think it sparked something in each one of us. It's I don't want to say it's different than like a Trayvon Martin or a Sean Bell or.
No, we didn't get to see those. We got to see this.
But we saw George's. We saw Ahmaud.
Aubrey.
We didn't see Breonna's, but like seeing those two, Ahmaud and George, like was like what?
Like it was you hear about it, you see certain parts of it, but then like it took me a minute to actually watch the George Floyd video. Like I had to watch it several times because I couldn't make it past a certain point each time. You can feel it as a Black woman if you have kids. You can feel it from that perspective because here you see a grown Black man laying on the ground calling for his dead mother, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
No. But back to what you're saying, the politics that's happening, how it's affecting Black mental health, it's putting us on edge. It's causing more anxiety. We're more afraid to come out of our houses. I don't want to say fearful to speak up, but there's a fear that is happening, and it's not good. It's causing even more division. We're more skeptical of the others. That's what
I was just getting ready to say. So with you saying that and you seeing what's going on out here in these streets, like I have a couple of friends that held protests in their cities and in their state. I have a homegirl that did a protest in Mississippi. She said there were 1,000 people that came out to her protest. Of those 1,000 people that came out to her protest, only 100 of them were Black.
Because we're afraid. We're afraid of coming outside.
Yeah, she was saying that, you know, she almost felt fearful, but she had to proceed because she was the organizer of the protest. However, yes, these people were on her side, but what if they decided to turn against her?
Exactly.
And that's where her come from was, yeah, you know, like, it's great that white America supports us, but do we really trust them? And that's exactly what it is. No, we don't trust them. We don't trust them. We don't trust the ones, like, there are some that are just going way too far with it. Like, I had to tell one lady, I was like, listen, love, you can't talk to me about what it's like being Black in America. You see my skin. This tells you that I know more than you do. So don't tell me how I should feel about my Black son this and my Black son that, because I was dealing with this way before you woke up.
Yeah, the political climate is creating more of a racial divide.
Yeah.
Even if we as Black people want to trust the others, history has shown that when we do, it don't end well.
It doesn't end well. I haven't been doing a lot of political posts on Facebook, but one of the things that has really reason I talked about that with you is because there's also been a spike in crime rates in these cities as well. So that's the other piece of it.
It's all about accessibility.
Yeah, it's so many factors going on right now. It's the COVID-19, it's the race relations, it's still societal issues, it's still people dealing with their own personal issues as well. So it's just so much going on around us.
Right.
At what point, I mean, like, how do we as healthcare professionals, how do we guide this situation? Now, quite a few of us have podcasts, and we're giving the information and we're putting the information out there for others, and, you know, we're doing our part online, giving tips and this, that, and the third. But how do we change the narrative? Because that's what it's going to actually have to take. It's going to have to take us changing this narrative. We got to deal with this all the way up until November, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And probably beyond that. And this is just political right now. We're not talking about health wise. We don't know what's going on with COVID-19. We don't know what to expect. Now, people seem to be forgetting that we're coming up on flu season. So if, from my records and from what I've been sent from the CDC, they've already sent out warnings about COVID-19. They've already sent out warnings about the flu being more deadly this year because it has adapted to certain vaccines that they have. So they've already sent this stuff out. I don't think people understand that their health is at risk right now.
Well, I mean, with all so what happened is all this racial stuff happened. The George Floyd thing happened, and I feel like it's superseded. I'm sorry, something just went down.
You're fine.
Excuse me. Okay. It superseded the whole COVID thing. So we had COVID. So it's like trauma after trauma after trauma. As you were talking, I was just like, trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma. How are we going to deal and heal from trauma? The only way to do that is to talk about it. But we don't feel comfortable talking to the others. So we as a community have to come together and heal one another. Let them work on their own stuff and by themselves. Let us work on what we need to work on to heal as a community by ourselves. And then we have to come together.
We definitely do.
We're trying to intermingle right now, and it's not happening. Now when Black people got their walls up and don't trust Karen.
They don't. Or Kyle.
Yes. We not trusting them.
No.
And it's the truth, right? And they're not trusting us. So they have to do what they need to do in their communities to resolve this, because it's not our job to educate them. We have the history. We've written books on it. We know our history. Majority of us know our history. It's just been cut out of the other history.
Yeah.
They need to do the research. It's not my job as a Black woman to tell a white person, like, yo, this is what you need to know. Because that's what they want to do. That's what they want us to do. Make it easier for them. I'm not making it easier for nobody. You go do the research. You got Google. Take them little.
That's when you say they kids know. They children know.
And tap on the keyboard.
Yeah, their children know. I've been watching that. What is this? It's the generation, the pop. What is it? The pop. What do they call? K-pop generation.
That generation. Yeah.
They know exactly.
It to their parents though.
Yeah, they sure have. That's what I was gonna say.
Like I said, history is skipping a generation. So there's this little generation with like 16, 15, like they're doing their research.
Yeah.
Whoever came 10 years before them ain't really do their research.
Mm-mm.
Who came before them did research. All my 80s babies, we doing the research because we the ones in the damn streets.
We did.
We in the streets. But then the 90s kids, because we made it easy for them.
That's what I was going to say. We made it easy. Yeah.
So they didn't really, so that's why you got some of them talking out of their rectum. And it's just like, no, you wasn't around when crack was whack.
Girls.
When they had the little, I'm from New York. There's a basketball court in Harlem that show you crack is whack 1985. Like,
yes.
Like they wasn't around for that. The crack epidemic, they wasn't here.
They weren't around for that. They don't understand what that meant. They were actually, weren't they the crack babies? I'm not trying to call them names, but they were the ones that were born of that epidemic.
But see, they lived in the glamorous lifestyle of the rap and the hip hop.
Yeah.
Going on.
See, they came around. They were born when our culture was being stolen from us.
Right.
When it was
ghetto fabulous era we had going on. When that ended in like 2005.
Yeah. Because it was adapted. That's when it was adapted. Once it became general, like once hip hop went commercial, that was it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this generation that's coming up, these teens now, these young adults, under 21 or like 21, like they're getting it because what they're seeing is like, I don't want to live in this world where people are being judged by their skin, or I can't have a Black friend, I can't have a Black girlfriend. Like that sounds great. Why can't I love them?
But the crazy part about it is that's because they're all commingled now. Like they don't see race. They weren't taught that.
Right.
They weren't taught. Yeah. They don't have those discussions. They don't, when they go out and date, it's not date within your own race. It's date whoever I want to.
Right.
I don't care if they're Black. I don't care if they're white. I don't care if they're Asian or Latin. They don't care about any of that.
Right.
It was something that you said earlier. You said we have to take care of ourselves. What do we do to find unity? Because one of the things that I've noticed is within our community, we have some barriers that we keep putting up with each other. We have the barrier of religion. We have colorism. We have gender issues. Mm-hmm. So there are things within the African American community that we actually need to tackle. And we need to sort of like let go so that we can become a unified nation. Like I literally had to talk to a group of people about your religion and my religion don't have to be the same because they still see us both as Black.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have to realize the common denominator with all of us Black people is we were all slaves.
Yep.
So I'm not better than you. You are not better than me. I'm not better than him. He's not better than me. We are all, because that's the one thing, no matter if you live in a high tax lifestyle and you got the house on the hill and maybe that wasn't your struggle, you grew up in the burbs, but at some point in your family line, somebody was a slave. Somebody was brought from another country to here. My family is from the Caribbean. But I don't walk around saying, yo, I'm Caribbean all day long. I don't identify with Black America because there's some Caribbean people doing that. And I correct them all the time, but I say, you live here. You don't live back because my family comes from Barbados. That's where Rihanna's from. we don't have these issues with racism. Like there's very few white people in the islands, and they
right.
It's a black utopia when you go to Caribbean, especially
yes.
So when you go to schools, black people. You go to supermarkets, black people. You go to beaches, black people. Your house is black people. On the streets, black people. You go, it's black people. So the racism, to the extent of it in America, is not there. The colorism's there. The classism is there. That's what we have going on. The racism to the extent of here, no. But when you come from there to here, people have to realize it's totally different. We have to stop judging each other and having this notion in my head of I'm better than the other person, because you don't know someone's story till you start talking to them. And I'm not fault for that too. I'll look at somebody and be like, yo, she probably thinks she all that. Now, sometimes I've been right, but other times I've been wrong. I'm usually right about people. There's very few times that I'm wrong about that. I think that's the field I'm in, so I'm already trying to figure out people. Yeah. But we just have to stop. We, as in our community, we have to stop judging each other and learn to work together. Use the resources, because we all have gifts and we all have talents. Buy black.
And that's what I was going to say. You said we have to talk to each other. The thing of it is, we all have similar stories, believe it or not. We all have something that connects us from in our background. There's a commonality that we can all relate to within each other, despite what religion you are, despite what class you are, despite what college you went to, despite what sorority or fraternity you were in, we all have a story. There's something in my life that you can relate to that happened in yours as well.
Yeah. I think the part of, and I'll add this piece, is because of the traumatic experience, if you hear someone else that looks like you went through the same experience, it's like, man, wow, we both got it bad. But if in your head you're not talking about it and you think I'm better than them, then it's like, okay, I feel a little bit better about my situation. Yeah. Because I'm better off than them. Yeah. But now when we talk about it, then you realize I'm really not better than my fellow brother or sister. And to hear them talk about their story brings up the pain of your story. And a lot of people don't want to sit down. If they're not comfortable with their pain, they're not going to want to hear somebody else's pain that reminds them of what they went through. So I think that's another reason why a lot of us don't talk. Because it's reminding me of where I came from and what I'm going through, and I'm beyond that. I'm above it.
Yeah, we try to put that out of our heads because we're told not to dwell on the past. We're told not to dwell on our pain. But people have to understand the difference between healing and just suppressing. Right. A lot of people suppress their pain, so they're unable to actually move forward. They're actually unable to, do anything productive outside of themselves or, with anyone else, so to speak. Yeah. So until you are really truly healed, you have no way of actually relating to others. Like what you're doing is you're there, but you're not there. Yeah.
Right. We've distanced ourselves from whatever trauma we've gone through, which is normal. Yeah. Anyone that's been through trauma is going to do that, but you can't heal until you tell your story.
The crazy part about it is you keep saying trauma, and all I keep thinking is African-American people, Black people, naturally suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
I have a whole podcast episode on it, secondary trauma, PTSD, being Black in America. I talk about that extensively. It's real. We don't actually have to go through the experience. We just have to witness somebody else. Yeah, that looks like us going through it to feel.
And it's been broadcast so much on the airways as of lately. Yeah. I think everybody who has seen that, I think with, like we said, all the different traumatic aspects of 2020 that have occurred, there is a vast amount of therapy needed, a vast amount of, PTSD, like group type of situation. Like you think it's just for veterans, but most people don't realize that coming out of a marriage that was toxic, coming out of a relationship that was toxic, you suffer from PTSD and you need that therapy and those treatments just as much as somebody that went to war. Coming out of an abusive relationship is like going to war.
Yep. We as Black people need to come together. We need to have group therapy and we need to have individual therapy. I'm so serious about group therapy.
We need a whole group.
lift every voice and sing.
Oh my God! Like
group therapy healing. Like I'm so serious. Like
okay, listen.
You don't even gotta be in the church. It could we meet.
I was just gonna say, listen. To make it non-biased and not about religion.
We meeting?
Yep. It ain't gonna be at the church. We need to have a barbecue.
Whose community center we rolling up in?
Yeah. Everybody it's a potluck. So
listen, everybody will show up if you say there's some free food.
Yeah.
Drinks.
It don't even have to be free. You can tell them to bring a dish. They will show up. Yeah.
We need to. We need it. I know we joke, but we need it. We need it.
You know, the funny part about this is, as you're sitting here and as we're joking about it, in my head, I was about to say to you, so I'm going to just charge that to you and say, listen, Black Therapy Uncensored, you need to sponsor an event.
Or the funny thing you're saying that is I have an idea in my head. So.
Like you need to put together an event, and whatever you need me to help you do.
Listen, just don't get me started with I already have an idea in my head that's gonna accumulate food and music and therapy.
And see, listen. I've been a chef for 20 years, so that's right up my alley. Food, nutrition, music, and you know we both doing yoga, so we are whole.
Listen, they gonna leave. You didn't come in positive. You are showing up on be positive.
You gonna walk out of here with a positive attitude. You gonna walk out of here and you gonna say, "Ooh, I need to do this again."
Right? We ain't gonna have the walls up.
You not even gonna know you going through therapy. One of the things that I specialize in is cooking therapy. Like I said, I've been a chef for 20 years. And there's a YouTube where I'll send you the link to it, where I was thinking about doing a TV show about therapy. And it's actually from the foundation of what I was taught as a young girl in the South, growing up in an African-American family, what I saw. Mm-hmm. My grandmothers always cooked. And people were always around their tables. Like my dad's mom, she always had people at her house. She was always that go-to person for people to talk to, for people to, just cry on her shoulder, whatever. But there was always a meal involved. So you never felt like you were going through therapy. So one of the concepts that I did, just trying to broaden my horizons and helping other people was cooking therapy. And that was where you come in the kitchen, you cook, we talk about your issues just like you would do with your big mama and your grandmama. And by the time you leave, you don't even realize that you have just gone through counseling.
You just show to the Food Network.
I actually filmed it for the cooking channel, but the production company that filmed it was what are they called? It's the same. What's Mona Scott's company? The people that do Love and Hip Hop. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of them, but I have it written down somewhere. I filmed it for the cooking channel. They produced it. The cooking channel rejected it based upon the production company because they said that they could see them turning this into a food fight type of show. They sent a separate
positivity.
They sent a separate email to me telling me if I found another production company that would be willing to work, and I am going to submit it now, that would be willing to work with me, they would be more than happy to utilize my vision. I'm glad they did that because one of the things that my entertainment manager was saying was that he thought they were going to replace me as soon as the show got big enough. And he even said, he wrote it in an email to the production company. He said, I can foresee her idea being replaced with someone with blonde hair and blue eyes. Yep. So, but you get what I'm saying. Food, music, therapy, like that's all needed. We need
the healing in our
community. We do.
Like I said, we need the group healing. We need to come together. That's the way to break down the walls between
Black Therapy Uncensored need to do a block party in all these major cities.
Wink, wink.
Okay. Listen, it need to be in all 50 states. You need to go to the major
party in every city. Like, listen, don't let this appearance fool you. My ass will get down in every
You need to have a block party, and then it needs to be a mental wellness so people understand that they coming because you coming to understand that you leaving here a different person than when you came here.
Don't you come here on no bullshit.
Yep.
You're gonna kick your ass out.
Yeah, because even though we peace, love, and light, like I tell people, I'm still from Atlanta. So.
I ain't saved yet.
Yes. Like, listen. What I tell people is I'm the heathen of my family. Okay. So
I was telling people I ain't saved yet. I will lay these hands and say,
so don't let the yoga, the meditation, and the candle lighting fool you.
That's another aspect of Black people.
Yes.
Embrace it.
So
I'm working on some ideas. Don't worry about it. You'll hear about them soon.
Okay, awesome. So let's close out. And what I want you to do is give us some tips. Give us some tips that we can actually be implementing right now. There's a lot of uncertainty going around.
Mm-hmm.
People don't have jobs to go back to. What did they say? Tens of millions of Americans are unemployed right now.
Like 100,000 or more.
Yeah, like it's a lot of people unemployed. So, and I'm not going to say anything, but I can see us on the brink of another lockdown.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen come September, but
because we are not going to be able to. We're not what Trump predicted he wanted to happen for America actually happen in other countries. They put us on a list that Americans cannot travel to the EU. So we can't go to the European countries. We can't go to other countries that are what are quote unquote.
Mind you, they don't got no COVID in those other places. It's here.
Nope. It's just here in the U.S. So again, what Trump predicted he wanted to happen has actually happened in reverse.
He thinks the USA is a reality show, and it's not.
It is not.
The cameras don't go off, and then all of a sudden we're all good. So some tips that I have for people. I try not to talk about him too much. He raised my blood pressure. Okay. I'm not gonna have no.
No, don't have a heart attack on it.
With no credentials raising my blood pressure. So routine is very important during this time, especially if you're not a person that's working. So I still maintain a routine. Like I wake up, I take a shower as if I'm going to work. Right now I'm off from my full-time job, but I still wake up with purpose. Like I tell people, you gotta wake up with purpose. There has to be a goal in your day. Even if your goal is like, hey, I'm gonna eat breakfast, I'm gonna eat 3 square meals, that's still a goal. The goal doesn't have to be something prolific. Ain't nobody asking you to save the world in 24 hours. It just has to be something that makes you feel good, that when you accomplish it at the end of the day, you're like, good job. So keeping a routine, whatever that routine is like, especially if you're out of work. If you're back to work, it's getting yourself back into that routine. So you gotta add in travel time, getting ready, all of that stuff. What is your routine when you get to work? Something. Also, to piggyback off of that is routine when you leave work. So have an activity that you're engaged in. Like I do karate, I do kickboxing. Like I'm very into physical activities only because I have suffered myself from symptoms of depression. I never diagnosed myself, obviously, nor have I been diagnosed, but I've had moments where I felt like really depressed, and that was all related to not having an active lifestyle. So I live a very active, moderate, I should say, lifestyle where I'm engaged and I go running on Sundays, Fridays kickboxing, Tuesday to Thursdays karate. Like I have stuff going on because being a therapist is very draining. Hearing people tell you their problems all day, every day, I be drained. By the last time, I be like, whatever you want to do. You want to sleep all day?
Girl, listen.
And you're a nutritionist. You probably.
I was just gonna say you are preaching to the choir right now. You have no idea. By the time, I have a set schedule, so I only talk to clients between certain times because for my own mental. Well,
you lose your mind. You go to episode and snap for no reason.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. By the time you get to that end, that last client, you just be writing and you just be like, whatever you want to do.
You angry? Great. Why are you angry? Okay,
great. Yeah.
I feel bad to say that, but it happens, and that's usually where the burnout comes from.
Yeah.
So you have to engage yourself in something positive. Like if cooking makes you feel happy, do that. For me, cooking's not my thing. So
well, see, that's actually why I came up with the concept of cooking therapy, is because that was my therapy. That's the part that makes me feel better.
I'm a big, advocate for self-care. Find something that you love to do that's positive and do that ish almost every day.
Yes.
Talking to your plants, because that makes you feel good. It makes you not want to strangle people when you walk outside your house. Talk to them.
Plants need to be talked to too. They need love.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
If it's going to take walks, if it's listening to music, like that's helpful. Like if I'm having a bad day and it's like continuous, like it's day after day, I always know it's because I didn't listen to music. And so when I turn on my music and my tunes and I start singing, I release all of that negative energy. If it's
music therapy. Yeah.
For my Black women, my Black men, getting your hair done, that's therapeutic. Going to get your nails done, that's therapeutic. Like whatever you have to do that's positive for you, do that.
Self-care as well. Going out, with the lockdown, we weren't able to go out. One of the things that I did was an herbal pedicure right here in my own home. That's something that you should get used to doing as well. Pampering yourself.
Right. You have to pamper yourself. Do things for yourself that make you feel good. And me as a therapist, if I think it sounds good, then I'm going to encourage you to do it. Go ahead and do that. Go shopping. You may tell me right now I don't really got the money. I'm going to say, you know what? If it's shopping, like you feel like you need something, like a pair of work shoes, a pair of slacks, like those are necessities. Go and shop. Because shopping is giving you
it's an activity. It's something to do.
I'm not telling you to go ball out and be broke. Just buy a couple of things that you need because the shopping makes you
just to get out the house and to be outside. Yeah.
If you're, some people have to be social, and because we haven't been able to get out the house and be physically social with other people, Zoom parties. I've been doing a lot of Zoom happy hours with my friends and stuff like that, like once a week, because that's what we need. Yesterday I had a very therapeutic conversation with my best friend, and she knows me. And she called me, and we talked on the phone for 3 hours. And she was and I thanked her because I was like, because she asked me on the phone, she was just like, when's the last time you actually spoke to someone? Like actually talked? I was just like, well, we talking to people here and there. She's like, no. When have you actually spoken to someone the way you're speaking to me right now? I was like, yeah, it's been a long time. So we was on the phone for have a support circle. You need that. Like I talk to my mama every day. Like, you have to have an outlet of positivity. That's why I say prescription of positivity. Because negative,
I love that. Every time you say that, I'm going to steal that from you.
Listen, a song that I listen to, and this is for all my old school R&B, hip hop people, Jodeci has a song called Get On Up, and it says, positive is the attitude. Negative is not the mood. I swear by that saying. Because it's true. Positive is the attitude. It could be friggin' raining outside, cats and dogs. But if you going in there with a positive mind, like, ain't no negativity can get in there. Light permeates darkness. Darkness so permeate. Don't in the light.
It sure does not. Light breaks through darkness.
Not to the extent that light does. So self-care is very important. Find something positive to do for yourself, and that makes you happy. And it's not about everybody else. It's about your happiness and your mental well-being. Because we all got to come out of here sane and alive.
Yes, we do.
So they're trying to take Black people out, and my job is to make sure they don't take none of us out.
And it's not a take you out bang bang type of situation. Right. It's mental and emotional warfare. Yeah.
That's how they did with slavery. They got in with a couple people's heads.
Yeah.
They broke away from the rest of the Black people, and that's why we don't got community. That's why we not got it. Because they convinced them five that they was better than the 200.
Yeah, they did. That's exactly what happened.
That's all it takes.
And that's actually, I hate to say this, but that's what your man in your White House is doing, right?
That's all he's trying to convince a couple of them those 14 Black people at the rally dancing. They ain't got no rhythm. I don't know where they found them Black people at. I just want to go up in the stands and be like, you're embarrassing me. Get some rhythm.
How much were you paid to stand right here?
Where can I get the money without being here?
Right. How can I get on this payroll too?
How can I get on this without being in this stand?
But let's watch this. I wear wigs and glasses. They won't know it's me.
It ain't me.
I got a doppelganger out there.
For real. That was me. You didn't see me there. But no, so these are, So as a Black community, I just want us all to take care of our mental health.
Yeah.
Down. Because when we are strong and we come together as a community, nobody can mess with us.
Well, Miss Kaye, I'm going to be waiting to hear what the plan is for the movement.
2021, mark my words, 2021, because 2020 canceled. We canceled.
We can't do nothing for 2020.
Well, this is a virtual summit. I'll think about it.
But no, I'm like you. You just tell me where you need me to be when I need to be there.
You know what? I'm partying all 50 states. Don't stop me now. I'll be
That's
everywhere.
what I said. I'm serious, because if you really think about it, you can't just do it in one place. You can't do it in one place because it only affects those people in that immediate area. And this is not a one place, one immediate area type of situation. Mm-hmm. You're talking about traumatic events that have happened all over the United States, here in Georgia, in Minnesota, in St. Louis, in Oklahoma, in California, in New York. I mean, it's everywhere. It's not just in one location. So to have an event, you would literally have to take it on the road.
50 states of mental health. Ooh, that sounds good.
I like that. I do.
Okay, let me write that.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. I should have never said that out loud.
That's okay. You just manifested it. That's all. You put it into the universe. So now you're about to get a whole bunch of people calling you saying, I want to be a part of this. I want to help.
I know. Who's that woman that was going to you? And then when they see me, they be like, who the hell you was talking to? She don't even look like how she sounds. She a little thing.
That's the beauty of it all.
She got blonde hair.
Okay. Listen, you don't have to look like. Hold on. Who said you had to look a certain type of way?
I know.
That's our problem right now already, as is trying to conform to what somebody said we had to be and what we thought we needed to be. So no. Tell us how everybody can contact you. Your email or your website, where you are, your IG page, just so that, even for people who are looking to, if they're in your area, and even if they aren't in your area, I know you have a podcast. Tell people where they can find your podcast, where they can find you, and if they'd like to sign up for your services, how they can get in touch with you.
Okay, so let's start with the services, because that's really what I want people to do, because I want everyone to get this mental health going. They can email me for mental health services at Miss Kaye, so that's MISSKAYE2@gmail.com. I am accepting new clients in the New York State area. I'm in New York City, so everything is teletherapy, so I'm not doing anything face-to-face. COVID's still going on. I'm not trying to get sick. I don't want you to get sick, and we don't need none of that. So you can contact me. I am accepting new clients. I don't take insurance. It's a sliding scale, so we can discuss a fee. And so for Black Therapy Uncensored, they can catch me on Instagram. So Black Therapy Uncensored, BLKTHRPYUNCNSRD. The same thing for Twitter. Black Therapy Uncensored, just take out all the vowels except for the U. And then on Facebook, Black Therapy Uncensored, you have to spell it out. That is my page. I post my current episode, so an episode should be dropping this week. I also post positive daily affirmations. I'm also currently working on possibly a book of
Yay!
Big Mac, Chicken McNuggets, no, Big Mac and Quarter Pounder with cheese, or Filet-O-Fish. You'd be doing the same thing if you were at McDonald's, because you can choose not just one, but two of your favorites for just $6. Tasty Big Mac, crispy 10-piece Chicken McNuggets, juicy Quarter Pounder with cheese, or savory Filet-O-Fish. Enjoy two of your all-time favorites for just $6, if you can decide on the two. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Single item at regular price.